Hello again, Indiana high school football fans, and welcome back to Hoosier Prep Gridiron. I'm your host, Tim Phillips, and we're back again today with another version of the Coach's Corner, where we visit with Indiana high school football coaches from throughout the great state of Indiana. Today we're out in eastern Indiana visiting with a coach who really doesn't need a whole lot of introduction. It's Coach Jake Miners of the East Central Trojans. Good morning, Coach. Great to see you again.
Good morning. I appreciate you having me on. It's been really fun listening to the other coaches around the state who have interviewed with you. I've learned a lot and looking forward to talking with you.
Yeah, it's kind of like a mini scouting report in some ways.
Yeah.
With listening to the coaches, but we're having a blast chatting with all the guys from around the state. Uh, Coach, before we get into it, just a real quick update on your status at East Central. Coach is heading into his seventh season now as the head football coach of the East Central Trojans. Just nothing but success. 65 wins, 13 losses overall, six consecutive unbeaten runs through the Eastern Indiana Athletic Conference. School promoted up to Class 5A after two state championship back-to-back seasons in 22 and 23. Trojans were 8-4 last year. Had a good, solid season. Lost a lot of kids from those championship teams to graduation. I know a lot of those guys are playing next level college ball now. Had a good showing in the regional, and but just a great program. And Coach, give us kind of a general overview. Everybody would love to be in position right now to have skill and talent and depth, and you've been building this program now for up to 6-7 years. Give us a general overview on where you see the strengths are in the program, and maybe two or three areas where you're really focused on to try to push your program up to that next level.
Yeah, well, first of all, we've had a great run here last 6 years, but really historically, East Central has always been a really solid program. I think in the last 6 years, what we've tried to do as a staff is build upon what the foundation that was laid, and some really great head coaches who have come, along or through this program and been fortunate enough to lead this program. So I think when I took over the job, the quote was, "Here's the keys to the convertible. Don't wreck it." Um, but we tried to
No
clean it up a
pressure,
little
right?
bit. You're right, and make it a little bit more shiny. But the state of our program is in really good shape, and it really starts with the foundational level of our youth program. We at the high school level, we're a 4A school by enrollment. We have just over 1,200 kids in the high school.
Mm-hmm.
We have over 360 kids playing K-6 tackle football,
Wow.
and I think you go to some other schools our size, and I would challenge somebody to have those kind of numbers, and it's nothing that I have done personally. We've had some great people in the community that have laid that foundation and have built that youth program and that feeder system that we're able to then reap those benefits at the high school level. But at the high school level specifically, we've coming off those back-to-back state championship runs. We knew that we had some holes that we had to fill. We were going to be pretty inexperienced last year going into the season. Uh, Included in that is the challenge of moving up into 5A in the playoffs, and we had a decent season. We would say around here we don't like those 4 losses. I think that those losses stick with you a little bit more than the wins, quite
Mm-hmm.
honestly. But that's a challenge, and we were right in those games. I think we learned a lot. The happiest thing that I was personally excited about last year is the growth from week one to where we were at against Decatur Central. That Decatur Central is a heck of a football team in the regional final. We knew that we were going into their place, fighting uphill a little bit, against the team that had represented the South in 5A the year before in the state championship. And quite honestly, we had a chance to win the game. We had a
Mm-hmm.
chance to win the game at the end of the game. We were 4 yards away in our minds from being able to come away with that victory. And
Sure.
so you better believe in our locker room now. We marked out that 4 yards. We taped off 4 yards, and our players have to walk over it every day just to remind them a little bit of that 4 yards that that we lost by last year. But heading into this year, I really think we have a lot of strength in the offensive line. Our offensive line has a lot of depth, a lot of competition battles that are working themselves out. That we foresee, continuing on throughout the summer. But that's historically what our program is built upon, is that offensive line. So we experienced some injuries up front last year, which challenged our depth quite a bit. But heading into this season, I think that's a benefit for us because we had to play some young guys who got that experience, and now can come back and have that experience going into this year. Offensively, we return 8. We return our starting quarterback. We return a lot up front. Our starting running back, our top wide receivers. So uh, we feel pretty good about the offense side of the football. We got to get better, and we got to continue to improve. But at least from an experience standpoint, we have those guys. Where we're at is we have a few holes on defense that we have to replace, and that's really where a lot of our time is going to be spent. Um, we had a lot of guys that rotated last year that weren't starters for us, so they definitely got a little bit of experience last year, but now they're going to be stepping into bigger roles. But I think by and large, as a program, what we have to do is continue to humble ourselves every day, and I think that's the biggest challenge that we're focusing on. We want to go and we want to compete in 5A. That's the tournament that we're in this year for the second year with the success factor, and we want to go and we want to make a deep playoff run. So we're not going to make excuses. We want to try to figure out how to win against some schools that might be a little bit bigger than us, but that's the challenge. We love that challenge, and we want to keep pressing forward here.
Coach, back to what you said about the numbers, 350 kids playing football, 1,200 total students. Whether you like it or not, you sound like the public version of a Chittard or a Roncalli. And I know how you feel about those programs, and those are programs that you want to mirror against, given their great historic success. Let's talk about that offensive line, Coach. And honestly, when most observers look at your football team, when your kids come on the field, they look different. They're bigger, they're thicker, they're taller, they're faster. These offensive linemen don't just fall off trees out in St. Leon. I want to get that right. Tell us how you are developing these offensive linemen. This group that you've got coming in looks like it might even be bigger and stronger than some of the previous ones you've had. You got a couple D1 guys, it looks like, on the line coming in. So what's the secret to developing these linemen? And let's talk about a couple of the kids that are really going to stand out for you this year.
Yeah, I think first and foremost is you have to make it fun to play offensive line. I think that's one of the things that we really do starting out down at the youth level is identifying kids that can play offensive line, fall in love with football, and fall in love with the work ethic. Where we're located in Indiana, it's not like we have a bunch of these guys. You're right. We have to develop them. And that starts by making it fun, making them feel important, because their name's not always getting, in the paper for touchdowns and things like that. But we really try to celebrate them in their own ways. And then we had a great offensive line coach for a long time in our program, Tim Belmer, who kind of laid that foundation of offensive line play at East Central High School. And then Randy Maxwell and now Stephen Medlock has taken over that offensive line group. Stephen Medlock's also our strength and conditioning coach here at East Central High School. So he does just a fantastic job with those guys. But we put a lot of stock into them specifically, with their footwork development, with their body development, with their diets, with what we kind of want them to weigh. We can't really teach the height, but we can do some things that help develop those guys. And then I think all that translates out on the field on Friday night. And, any good football program that I've been around, the offensive line's kind of their own unique group. And Our guys, I just absolutely love hanging around. They are fun. They have their own little inside jokes and clicks, and all that's so important for the continuity that they play with up front. But some specific guys that we think will have a great season for us. Gavin Osterman is going to be a 3-year starter for us. He'll play left tackle for us. Unfortunately, we lost him last year to a foot injury after week 7. And it would shut down his season for his junior season, but it will be coming back for us. We're really excited to get Noah Brown back. Noah Brown's he started for us as a freshman at guard in the 2023
Yep,
state championship game.
I remember Noah.
Unfortunately, we lost him last year to an ACL injury pretty early on, but he's fully cleared and fully back healthy. So we're looking forward to him up front. Sam Crimer's one that was kind of forced into action last year to replace Noah Brown. It ended up having a great season for us. So he got all that kind of experience last year. Now he gets to come back as a junior. On the other side, we're anchored by Logan Collier at right tackle. Him and Hank Timon, which Hank Timon, when he steps on the field for us, you'll know it. He's 6'7", 320 pounds. Just a very, very large individual. So those two are battling out for positions. And, a young guy for us, DJ Miller, who's 6'3". He's pushing 300 pounds as well. Going into his sophomore year, will be biting for some time as well. So, and beyond that, I mean, we have some depth. We have some guys that quite honestly will be playing JV football for us this year. That might be varsity starters in other programs, but that's a healthy program. That's a good thing. And there's all kinds of competition. And we're really looking forward to those guys leading us this year.
I've been following the roster for many years, and it does look like you're getting taller. I mean, it does. If you go back, there were a lot of 6'1", 6'2", 270, 280 guys 5 years ago, and now you got 6'3", 6'4", and certainly Hank is going to catch the eye of some D1 guys. Coach, you obviously had one of the all-time great running backs in your program just a couple years ago. This young kid, Ryan Mingus, who's coming up, not only a great running back, but a strong kid. It looks like he's probably is right in there in the weight room with these big guys. Tell us a little bit about some of your skill guys coming back on offense, and are we going to see anything different from your scheme and your approach offensively this year?
Yeah, Ryan Mingus, he started last year for us as a sophomore, and he had big shoes to fill, right? I mean, coming off of Josh Ringer's historic campaign, quite honestly, winning Mr. Football. But what many people didn't realize that year is Ryan Mingus's freshman year, he was able to get in and get some quality reps in that freshman year, which was pretty intentional on our end. Not only did Ryan deserve those opportunities, but we knew that he was going to have to step in as a sophomore and be our premier back. And if you've ever watched East Central, you know that we need that premier tailback for us. So, but we didn't ask Ryan to be Josh. Ryan has his own specific capabilities, and we just asked him to be Ryan Mingus. And so I think what we learned a lot last year, quite honestly, from the coaching perspective, is how to coach him and maybe how to highlight some of the things that he does well. And so that growth process, for us too, for what he does well was huge last year. And then heading into this year, he's had a fantastic offseason. He is one of the strongest guys in the weight room. Just an amazing young kid that he really wants to be successful, and he really has a unique drive to be successful. So he wants to make his mark in this program as well. But beyond Ryan, we bring back our quarterback, Nolan Maple, who dealt with a knee injury last summer. So he really didn't get too much of an offseason before starting for the first time for us, who also had big shoes to fill, replacing Cole Burton for us. It was a great quarterback within our program. And Nolan ended up having a really solid season for us. We're looking for him to make that growth for us. And then on the edge, Ethan Feldkamp, Aaron Mayer have had really good off seasons. They're both around 6'3", about 185, 190 pounds, good frame looking kids. Eli Selhorst and Carson Eibold, um, are going to be seniors for us. So we'll be pretty
Mhm.
senior dominant at the wide receiver position. Parker Wegman's an incoming sophomore for us that's going to push those guys a little bit. We're really excited about him. We don't know quite yet just what his rep count and things like that will be, but
Right.
really excited about our skill group offensively. We have a lot of depth. Colton Bellman's one that last year he started out the JV as our JV tailback for us, and uh, quite honestly, after the third week of the JV games, we're like, man, we got to find this kid varsity minutes. He did a really good job for us, and so we're going to try to find ways to get him on the field as well. Whether that's formationally, whether that's giving Mingus a blow here or there, but we got to find ways to get him reps as well. But no, I don't think that we don't try to seek to be anybody else but East Central. So, we actually call our base in 11 personnel with spread. And I know if you watch us deeper in the playoffs, we always have an element of some heavier type packages. And that's to really highlight our offensive line and be able to
Mhm.
push people. But what we try to do is just we really try to create matchups for our guys and let those guys be successful. Let our guys have good opportunities, and that's all we can do as coaches, right? Is put our guys in the best case scenario and let them go compete, let them go have fun, and hopefully have success.
You bet, Coach. Hey, just to wrap up, I want to talk a little bit about your schedule.
Yeah.
There's so much talk around the state about conference realignment,
Mhm.
and every school is going through a period right now, and a lot of this is driven by what we're seeing, in college football. Looking for the best fit competitively, travel, financially, so on and so forth. You've gotten creative with your schedule. You guys travel to Cincinnati, given your location. You've got the rivalry with Harrison. Got a great game lined up this year with Lawrence North. I think the timing on this is perfect given the rise in that program. Where are you heading in the future? Because clearly you're trying to give your kids the best opportunity to compete that they can get week to week. The reality is you're dominating the conference games. And those games, a lot of those games are over at halftime. You got running clocks in the second half. A lot of kids aren't getting quite as much playing time as maybe they'd like. So, what's the right balance? How do you strike that balance between conference, non-conference, keeping the kids healthy, and being ready for a postseason tournament run?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, when you look at the IAC, it's a really strong competitive conference, but most schools are, at the 3A level. And you've seen Lawrenceburg make some great runs. You've seen Batesville make a great run last year. Franklin County had a great season last
Sure.
year. Isaac Sliger did a great job at Rushville. Greensburg's growing and Isaac Sliger taking that job, and so we expect some growth there. But yeah, I mean, and I think that the conference did a nice job of. Sorry, in other sports, it's an extremely competitive conference, and
Mhm.
but years ago we went to the big school, small school split, and so with that, we're not required to play all of the smaller schools, and some of those contracts are going to be expiring this year.
Mhm.
So which will allow us to schedule some not more non-conference games against some bigger schools. So this will be our final year where we're going to be playing South Dearborn. Our final year where we'll be playing Greensburg. Those contracts are expiring.
Mhm.
And we're always on the hunt for good quality opponents, right? And because we live close to the Cincinnati area, it's always easy to hop over and play some great competition there. But
Sure.
uh, my mindset's always I'm not afraid to travel to Indianapolis either because we've learned this in going through the playoffs is that you're going to have to travel to Indianapolis and you're going to have to try figure out a way to win those games. And so, we do a good job with our rival down the road against Harrison, Ohio. Ron Colley's been a great matchup for us to uh,
Sure.
wrap up the year. And like you mentioned before, like with Ron Colley and us really mirror each other a lot. We know the differences between public and privates, but the brand and style of football that we play, and just the many years where we end up facing each other in the playoffs as well. is a big deal for us. But the Lawrence North matchup, we're extremely excited about. We know we're traveling up to their place. The year that they had last year, some of the athletes that they have
Oh
that maybe we don't
yeah.
have. But we want that. We don't want to make excuses. We want to go play the best. In 2026, we were able to sign Elder out of Cincinnati, give our kids an opportunity to go play in one of the premier stadiums in really the country, but
Hmm.
definitely in the Cincinnati area. And we're also able to schedule a game with New Pal, which now them coming up to 5A
Oh,
is
terrific.
uh, fun. But they do such a good job up there. But it's really challenging ourselves. We want our guys to be able to play in what I call premier games.
Hmm.
If you want to make deep playoff runs, you want to get recruited. You want to put yourself on that state level with the upper echelon of teams. You have to go figure out a way to go win these games, not just
Sure.
play in these games. You got to go figure out a way to go win these games as a team.
Hmm.
And that's really what we're trying to do with that non-conference schedule. I think every year, the last 6 years that I've been here, I think each year we've tried to approach it where we're going to challenge ourselves a little bit more,
Hmm.
and that's what we're trying to do. But we're still trying to maintain that standard of success and maintain that standard of winning.
Well, I'll tell you, Coach, that's great news, and I'm sure there's lots of folks in Central Indiana that would love to see a Center Grove East Central, Carmel East Central, Westfield East Central matchup during. A lot of people say the regular season doesn't mean anything, but these kind of games really put the spotlight on premier elite level football in Indiana. Coach, really appreciate your time. Great to see you again, and wish you and the ball club a great summer, and I'm sure we'll be back in touch here during the season.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me on.
You bet.